Welcome everybody to day 9 of our free 10-day Canine Enrichment Challenge. I can't believe we're already on day 9. We only have 1 day left. So if you guys want us to keep doing these free games, we would love to do it, but we need to hear from you guys on social media. You need to tell us if you want us to keep going, and we can definitely keep going. So what we've actually done this time is we've taken one of our foundation exercises of Push It, and we're taking it to the next level. So this is Striker, and he is very food motivated, which is great. And we quickly refreshed his Push It behavior by putting a treat underneath the ball and having him push the ball out of the way just on the ground to get the treat. And then what we did is we found a muffin tin, and we had to do a little bit of homework here to find the balls that were going to fit the tin in just the right way. And because you don't want the ball to be too small, or else the dog can just get the treat out without having to move the ball. And if the ball gets stuck in the tin and the dog can't get it out, then they're going to give up. So you do have to do a little bit of homework to figure out what's going to fit in the right spot. So each ball, we practice the push it on the ground, and then we put each ball in the muffin tin. We are using the cue push it so that he knew what to do with the ball in order to get the treat out. I'm also holding the tin down on the ground so that way he can't just throw the whole thing up in the air and kind of spoil the game that we're working on here. So one ball at a time is all we're working on. I'm not going to fill the whole tin until the very end. And Striker is so into this game that he was trying to kind of just move everything out of the way before I was ready. So you'll see I'm trying to put him into a down just so I can kind of get a head start on getting the treat down there. But if you need to, you can certainly use a leash, put your dog in a tie down, put him in another room while you're resetting it. If your dog has a stay, that's awfully nice. So now that we've moved on to this red ball is definitely the hardest fit. It fits snugly enough in there to where it just doesn't pop out very easily. He can't really get his mouth around it, and now he's trying to just flip the whole tin up in the air, which is why I'm holding it down. So I'm just doing a lot of verbal encouragement to keep him going, and I keep throwing more treats under the ball to try and encourage him to keep going and not give up. But you can see here he's really kind of perplexed, like, how do I get this ball out of the muffin tin? So I'm trying all kinds of different things because I don't know what's going to work. I'm moving it around more. I'm trying to encourage him more. Now I'm going to slant it, and let's see if that gives him a better angle to get it out with. So if they get stuck, just keep trying different things to see what makes sense to the dog to try and get it out. I finally end up dislodging the ball just slightly. I tried putting him in a down to see if that gave him a better angle. He didn't really like that, so I ended up just kind of dislodging a little bit so that he saw it could be dislodged. And then I'm just going to keep trying it here with the red ball to see what is it going to take to get him? Oh, there he goes. To get him to understand that it's the same challenge. He just might have to come at it from a slightly different way. So that's why you might want to have, kind of several different balls lined up. So if there's one ball that, the dog is just like, I don't get this, you could certainly just omit that and just go with the balls that make more sense. The other thing is you don't have to use balls. So I play this game with one of my dogs at home. He's an older dog. He's missing some teeth, and his mouth is kind of sensitive, so he doesn't want to push something hard. So I actually used soft toys, and he ended up kind of picking them up versus pushing them. It doesn't really matter. This is supposed to be fun. So now what I've done is I have increased the challenge by putting treats in all the muffin tins, and I have put a ball in each slot, and I'm still using my push it cue. And so now it's just a different challenge for the dog to try and get them all out, which is fun to watch Striker here figure this out. And you can see that red ball is still stumping him a little bit, so I'm going to help him again by slightly dislodging it. And the tennis ball, I had a few different sizes, and the larger tennis ball also kind of got stuck in there. And by the time he had to get the fourth ball out of the same tin, he started to give up a little bit. So I just had to keep encouraging him to keep trying. And he was finally successful. So now we're going to move on to a smaller dog. And the reason why I wanted to show you a different dog doing it is every dog does learn differently. And with a small dog, I didn't want to use a big ball. It might be too hard for her to move it out of the way. So I had to come up with a different setup here. I have smaller balls, which means I needed smaller containers. The muffin tin didn't work because I didn't have one small enough and she could just eat the treat from around the ball. So I found these little plastic pieces from another dog puzzle I had, the yellow pieces you see. And that seemed to work because I wanted the ball just to very easily tip off to begin with. So I had to experiment a little bit to find the right size ball with the right size container. And you can see I'm also kind of struggling with getting Petal to stay. If I had a helper, it would be a little bit easier. She was very enthusiastic, which was great. And I didn't want to dissuade her in any way. Now, she got a little bit stuck here. She started offering different behaviors versus trying to keep playing my game. So I went back to just letting her eat the treat out of the container. Because you can see she would kind of push it around once with her nose, and then she kind of gave up and started paddling her feet, which is a behavior that she has known before. It's a trick that she does. So she just got a little bit confused. So I just had to make it easier for her and go back to just letting her eat out of the yellow container and just kind of knock it over and get her back into, this isn't about offering different tricks. This is about trying to figure out this game with these two pieces. So I'm kind of back on track here again. Finally, she's like, oh yes, okay, I just knock it out of place and I get the treat. So now we're back on a roll, which is great. So you don't really want to change the challenge or make it harder until you do see that the dog is on a roll with the current challenge you're presenting with them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to a red ramekin. This is just something that I found in the kitchen. And the reason why this is a bit of a different challenge is the ball doesn't just sit on top now. The ball is actually, wedged in it, kind of like back to where we were with the muffin tin. And with her, she's going to use her paws at this point. I don't really care. This is supposed to be fun. I don't care how she does it. I think she just found, hey, if I just use my paw, I can get it out quicker. And that's just fine. So we keep going here, making sure that she's really getting a lot of confidence with this game and getting that ball out. And she's doing it nice and quickly. Now, since I didn't have I didn't have a muffin tin that necessarily worked for her size, I could have lined up a bunch of ramekins and put balls in them, but I didn't think about that until after the fact. So I just moved to a different object. I went with a cone. I thought this would be another fun challenge. She could just pop it right off the cone. The only problem was with this, she couldn't really get the treat out, so I had to lift up the cone afterward for her to get the treat out. So this may not have been the most ideal one, but it was certainly fun to watch her try and figure this out. And then I'm going to go to the genius version here, which is I really wanted her to wait on that mat while I set up this game. So you're going to kind of see us struggle through this a little bit. She's very eager. But I'm going to go very slowly now and try and get her to wait on the mat, wait for her to have me set it up. So let's see what you guys come up with at home. There's lots of options here. This is super fun. We want to see your videos. We want to see your ideas. So post your videos and ideas on Facebook in the group so that we can all see them. And we will see you guys for day 10 of our final challenge.